So again, welcome. This is Matt Buckman here with CNRA. Tonight we're going to go over some clips that involve teamwork, but with a little bit more complication than that. We're going to dive a little deeper into this concept of teamwork and when and how an AR should get involved, and what things to be thinking about prior to doing so. Now, I'm going to do a quick refresher here. Because I know we've talked about this with this group before a couple of different times. I'm not going to go through the entire presentation. Really, all I'm going to do is give a quick reminder, a couple quick slides for things I want you to think about as we're discussing this evening. So the two primary things we're going to focus our attention on tonight is, can the AR get involved and should the AR get involved? Those are two completely separate questions, both of which need to be considered before the AR does anything in a game, particularly as it relates to foul decisions. So we'll talk about both of those in a short amount of detail, just as a quick refresher, and then we'll jump into the video clips. So talking first about, can the AR get involved? This is the first part of a two-step process. The big thing that we have to differentiate between is having a clear view of an incident versus having clear view of a decision. Clear view of an incident means I see two people. I saw that one of them fell down. That means you saw the incident. You saw that there were two people involved and one of them fell down. The difference between having a clear view of the incident and having a clear view of the decision is, can you see why that player fell down? And if you can't see why they fell down, if you can just see that they fell down, that's a bit of a problem if you're forced into making decisions. So the decision-making components we want you to be looking for are mode of contact and point of contact. Obviously, if somebody falls down on a slide tackle, you need to be able to see the mode, which would be the foot or the shin of the person committing the challenge. And the point of contact is where on the body of the attacking player the contact was made. So guilty party contact would be mode of contact. Person who received a challenge and who might be awarded a foul as a result, we look for point of contact on their body. If you can't see both of those things, it means you cannot get involved because you have a clear view of the incident, but not of the decision itself. Some other factors that aren't related to mode and point of contact: ARs can assist with foul placement, meaning inside and outside the penalty area, and they can help with misconduct advice, SPA, and DOGSO. And so those are two things that aren't necessarily involving the decision itself about whether or not to award a foul, but can impact whether or not to get involved with adding other factors. What's the spot of the foul, or do we have SPA present? Do we have DOGSO present? So sometimes you may not be able to get involved with the actual foul decision, but you may be able to get involved with some other factors. Should the AR get involved? That's the next step. So once you decide if you can get involved, if the answer is yes, you can get involved, great. Now we need to move on to, should the AR get involved? And that's where we have to talk about, does the referee have a clear view? Meaning, are they in a good position? Are they in a credible position? Could they see it clearly? And is the referee reacting to it at all? So if the referee sees it, starts to blow the whistle, or waves it off, or just says no, or whatever it is, it means that referee has seen it, they've reacted to it, they do not need any support from the assistant referee, they do not need involvement from the assistant referee. That's the threshold we're using now in offering guidance to assistant referees on how and when to get involved. If the referee does not require assistance, we don't want you to try and provide it. And we know that, or we figure that out by assessing whether or not the referee actually responds or reacts to a situation. If they react to it clearly and they've made a decision, no need to get involved. Big thing here means no more support flag. We do not want to see a support flag going up anymore. Whoops, sorry folks, don't know why that happened. We don't want to see a support flag going up anymore because we want to reduce the opportunities for error when two people are involved in making a decision. So if the referee sees it clearly, reacts to it, doesn't matter unless they clearly are going to incorrectly send off a player or incorrectly not send off a player. Those big game critical things that are 100%, and for some reason the referee doesn't know it, that's the exception that proves the rule. Otherwise, if they see it, they react to it, ARs stay out of it. Because more often than not, they don't require your assistance, and we don't need to get involved and create opportunities for error. Any questions on that quick recap of an otherwise hour-long presentation? All right. So as we look at clips, there's going to be 3 potential answers we want you to use. The first is the AR cannot be involved. That means from whatever perspective they were at, they could not see the mode and point of contact, which means they cannot get involved. They're not able to be involved. No clear view of the decision. The second answer is AR can be involved, but should not get involved. That would be because the referee was in a better position, could see it clearly. No involvement should be needed. And then the third is the AR can and should get involved. This is when the AR has seen it, the referee has not, and we need the AR to help here. We also want you to choose answer number 3 if you feel like the AR needs to get involved with perhaps some of those other factors, meaning, can they get involved with, the placement of the free kick? Can they get involved with SPA or DOGSO considerations? If you think they have information to add, not necessarily about the foul, but about the placement of the free kick inside or outside the penalty area, or SPA and DOGSO considerations, if you think they have that and they need to provide it to the referee, we want you to choose answer number 3. Any questions on that? Great. So then we're going to go ahead and jump out of this, and we're going to get right to our clips. Clip number 1. We have a clear handball for those who are having trouble seeing on the video. Watch it one more time. All right. Freeze it at our moment of truth, and I'll go ahead and launch the poll. Let's see what everybody thinks about this first clip. Few more seconds to get our answers in. All right, so now I'll share the results. We've got about 61% say the AR can and should get involved here. Another 30% say the AR can get involved, and then about 10% saying the AR cannot get involved. No clear view of the decision. So this is going to be a good learning clip for us for a variety of different reasons for both the AR and the referee. Actually, now that I think about it, it's just learning for the referee. So the first problem here, if we break down, is why the referee has not seen this. And the answer, as you can see from the freeze frame, is they have shifted their attention to the next phase of play and have turned their attention away from the immediate phase of play. So the problem with that, of course, is now we've left an area of the field exposed. So as a general practice, when we're thinking about teamwork, if we've got the current location of the ball and we've got the future location of the ball, we always want the referee focused on the current location, because that's where the most likely decision is going to be. If you're likely to have to make a decision, it's probably going to be in and around where the ball is for the most part. Once the ball goes away, if somebody is sliding in here to try to block this, we want the referee to feel comfortable, if there's a potential imminent next decision to make, which in this case there might be, to shift their attention here and trust that another match official, in this case it would be the fourth official, would keep their eyes back here in case someone was going to be late with a challenge or something of that nature. So we want the referee focused on the current phase of play, which in this clip would be right here with the ball. We want the AR, who is otherwise going to be looking at offside anyway, focused on the future phase in case there's a potential foul in here before the ball gets there. And after the ball departs this immediate area, we would want the fourth official keeping their eyes on the trailing part of the play, so the former location of the ball. That's how, in an ideal situation, we're dividing up the areas of responsibility on a given play. Referee with current and active phase, which is more likely following the ball. Fourth official or trailing official keeping their eyes on where the ball last left in case something comes late. And lead AR focusing on the future phase of play. The problem with this clip, and why unfortunately 90% of you are incorrect about the AR's potential involvement here, is that the AR has an imminent offside decision that they're going to have to make, which means at this moment that the handball happens, this AR is staring right over here, and appropriately so. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and Pablo Martinez, I'm going to specifically call you out because I started this webinar by asking people not to answer questions or not to provide guidance, and you have provided incorrect guidance, and I would like you to not do it again. So please do not make comments about what they should and shouldn't do as a crew. So getting back to the point, the challenge here is that this AR is focused on an imminent offside decision. So because the AR has to be focused on this offside decision, they are not going to be able to see this. The AR is not going to be able to be involved in this decision because their focus is going to be on this imminent offside decision, which means we as referees have to have a level of awareness as to where our other match officials are going to be focusing their attention at any given time, because that informs us where our focus needs to be. So at this moment on a potential cross, the referee needs to assume that the AR is going to be focused on potential offside decisions, and we need to focus on this area of the field. There's no need for this referee to have shifted their attention to the middle of the field, because that's where the AR is already paying attention. So good teamwork means referees be aware of where your assistant referees are going to be looking at the field at any given time, and focus your energy where you know they can't be, which in this case is this right here. So unfortunately, there's really no way for us to get this decision right if the referee shifts their attention. The only saving grace we may have, and we can't tell from this shot, is what side of the field the technical areas are on. Because if the technical areas are over on this side of the field where this AR is, then the fourth official may have an angle of view and may be able to come in with the comms and say handball, but maybe. If the fourth official and the technical areas are on the touchline at the bottom of our screen, then there's no chance that they're going to be able to see that. So a question here, you're saying the AR has an offside decision to make, but if that defender heads the ball and doesn't handle the ball, shouldn't the AR be paying attention to that? The answer is no, actually. This is where teamwork is required for offside decisions more and more now as well. Because with this, if this is going to be a tight offside decision, your AR is going to be focused here. And so at the most senior level, what we have with comms is if the ball gets to this player who is in an offside position, obviously he's not in this case, but let's say he was, if this player is in an offside position, the AR knows he was in an offside position, but doesn't know how the ball got there, meaning did it go directly from an attacker or was it deliberately played and therefore negating the offside? If they don't know that, then the guidance to them is to say position, 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 which informs the referee that player who's on the ball was in an offside position, but I need help because I don't know how it got there. And that's when the referee comes in and says, no, 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 meaning there was a deliberate play, no offside, or flag, 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 meaning, yes, this is offside, please put the flag up. So that's how we get around that situation. In a normal scenario here, AR, if we don't have comms, AR is looking out here. If this is deliberately played, we want the referee paying attention to that. And then if that flag goes up incorrectly, the referee can wave it down. If the AR keeps the flag down out of an abundance of caution, but isn't sure, we would ask them to stand at the corner flag and call the referee over to ask for assistance on that play. So those are the two different mechanics that we would use to get around the fact that this AR is not going to be able to see this because their focus is going to be out here. Now, it's quite possible they'll see that the ball was deflected somehow out of their peripheral vision, but they're not going to have enough information for deliberate play or not, and they're certainly not going to be able to tell if this is a handball. So the answer to this clip is the AR is not able to be involved here because their focus is going to be out on this potential offside decision, and the guidance for us referees is we have to pay attention to this. So we had a question here, stand at the corner flag, can we elaborate? Yes, the mechanic for an AR who is uncertain if a goal is valid, so if the ball goes in the back of the net and they're not sure if there was a deliberate play or if somebody held, for example, if somebody was in the offside position, the ball gets to them, but the AR doesn't know how, the AR keeps the flag down, and if the ball goes in the back of the net, they're going to stand at attention at the corner flag, not run up the field, which is how you indicate a good goal from your perspective. They're going to stand at the corner flag, which is a signal to the referee, I don't know if this is a good goal or not. They're going to have to come over here. It's a good question. Thank you. Any other questions on this clip? There's a lot in this one, oddly enough, for what seems like a simple decision. So referees, big learning point is be aware of what your assistant referees are looking for. Sonny, is your question here, shouldn't the AR be watching for a deflection? We've already answered that twice now. The answer is no. They're going to be here looking for an offside decision as this ball is played. We've said that twice now, so please listen closely. It's the referee's responsibility to keep their eyes on the ball and what happens here. Any other questions? Okay, next clip then. Don't worry, we're not going to do all of these tonight. One more time. All right, and I'll pause it at our moment of truth. All right. I will go ahead and launch the poll again. Couple more seconds. All right. Share the results with you. We're all over the place on this one. 32% say AR cannot get involved, no clear view of the decision. We have AR can but should not get involved with 47%. And we had 20% say the AR can and should get involved. So I'm going to start with the last one. AR can and should get involved. So remember, the first part is can they get involved, which means did they have a clear view of the decision-making components. I'm going to leave that alone for now. Let's assume it's can. And let's move on to the should. The second part of this is should the AR get involved? And please remember that the guidance there is we only want you to get involved if the referee doesn't react to it at all. If the referee reacts and makes their decision, we don't want you to get involved. And as you can see from this clip, the referee has gotten involved and made a decision here. So we do not need ARs to get involved because the referee has already made their decision. There's nothing for the AR to be involved in here because the referee has made the decision. So now I want to move on to the cannot because they can't see it and should not because the referee has made the decision. There's a bit of nuance to this one, and either answer is actually going to be okay to some degree because there's two parts of potential involvement here. The first part of the involvement is the foul decision by itself. Does the AR have a clear view of this foul? The answer is actually yes. So they can get involved here, but importantly, only with the potential foul decision. So they can see clearly between the two players. They can see that there was contact. So yes, they can see the mode and point of contact, which means they are able to be involved in the decision. But only the foul decision. There are actually two decisions here that have to be made. One is, does a foul take place? Which I think we can safely say is yes. There's a trip there or a push or something. But then the next part of this is, what's the restart? Is it a direct free kick or is it a penalty kick? That decision, the AR can absolutely not be involved in because they don't have the angle of view to see if this is inside or outside. They simply cannot do it. And so the best answer here is they can be involved, but they shouldn't be involved because they can be involved with the foul, but the referee doesn't require their assistance on the foul. They cannot be involved with the location of the restart because they don't have the right angle of view to make a decision on this boundary line of the penalty area. So the ideal scenario here is that the AR can help with the referee with the foul if they don't get it, but because the referee calls the foul, the AR needs to not worry about that. And guidance ARs and referees both, we do not want assistant referees making boundary line decisions on this boundary line of the penalty area because they don't have the appropriate depth perception or angle of view to be able to see if something is inside or outside. So the short answer here is this needs to be 100% the referee's decision, though if for some reason he was screened, the AR could help with the fact that it's a foul. He would not be able to decide if this is a penalty or if it's inside or outside the penalty area. One other consideration, and this is a positioning thing, is the referee is in a good position at the moment of this foul. And then once the quick restart happens, we need to recognize that there's a potential boundary line decision that's going to happen here. And instead of doing what the referee does, which is to move to the left, we need to move to the right here. Because if we have a potential boundary line decision here, which we did, we want to be moving in this direction, out towards this boundary line, instead of moving to the left as the referee was. Now, this referee is anticipating the next phase of play and moving towards it, which is normally not a bad thing to do, except for in plays in and around this area of the penalty area, because there might be a potential boundary decision. So the referee can fix this problem by moving to the right instead of to the left. In this case, the referee has pointed to penalty kick, and luckily we have VAR and MLS, and so the VAR is able to come in and say that is not correct. Any questions on that clip? So content question here, with multiple decisions, wouldn't one not negate any involvement. Jim, can you restate that? I think that NO was a typo somehow. So maybe restate that question because I'm not sure what you're asking. Question here: AR won't be able to won't be held accountable even though feet and body are still clearly outside the penalty area. It's actually not clear. And the thing that I'm not sure about is this a trip or is this a hold? And if it's a hold, it might be happening much closer to that line than you think. If it's foot on foot, then yeah, that's a little easier. But I actually think it's this player falling onto the legs somehow, which might be a little bit closer. So it's really not that much clearer. So a question here from Jim: if the AR cannot make one of the decisions, wouldn't that negate any involvement? The answer to that is actually no. If for some reason the referee gets screened from this and is not able to see the actual foul, the AR can then say, yes, I have a foul here, and provide the foul information and hope that the referee is able to provide enough about where that foul likely happened. It would be more difficult, certainly, but I think it's a better alternative than just not doing anything at all, particularly when it's a clear foul. The other technique that we have to fall back on in cases of emergency or where we don't have VAR is if we're uncertain, we want to put it on the outside, not on the inside. If we know that we have a clear foul, but it's impossible to tell if it was inside or outside, we need to go to the outside. We only award penalty kicks that are clear 100% penalty kicks. And if we're not certain, we need to place that free kick on the outside of the penalty area. So the AR could get involved and say, I have a foul, without communicating it's a penalty kick. And if they can't decide if it's inside or outside because the referee was screened, then they just need to put it on the outside. But good question, Jim. Or comment here from Kurt: it appears the AR may be communicating on in and out while he's taking his position for the PK. I can promise you 100% that's not happening, because ARs at the senior level know that they are not to be involved at all with in or out decisions here. It's not going to happen. If anything, the referee is saying, I'm not sure, VAR look at it. But I can promise you this AR is not trying to get involved in this. So question here. So the first prong for can the AR get involved is mode of contact and point of contact, but foul placement is a separate factor. That is correct. Yes. Those are two different things. One is, yes, a foul occurred. The second is, where did that foul occur? So those are two very, very different things. Good question. Question here: do you want to see the flag up here if there are no comms and the referee is screened? The answer to that is yes. If it is a clear foul and the referee is screened from it, then yes, we do want a flag to go up here. If you remember back to when we've covered areas of responsibility with that diagram of the field that's got various colors on it, this is in that yellow area, which is an area we want the AR to look to the referee first. If the referee does not react whatsoever, then we want them to go with the normal mechanic, which is a flag. Good question, Arena. Any other questions on this clip? Okay, great. Now move us on to the next one. I'll play it one more time for you. All right. I'm going to relaunch the poll. See what you think. A few more seconds to get your answers in. All right. I'll share the results with you. So 27% say the AR cannot get involved. There's no clear view of the decision. 62% say the AR can but should not get involved. And then 11% say AR can and should get involved in this situation. So again, I'm going to remind everybody, and this will be the third time that I remind everybody, when we're asking if the AR should get involved, what we're asking is, has the referee reacted to it at all? And if the referee reacts whatsoever, it means the AR should not get involved. And in this case, the referee has clearly reacted by pointing to the penalty spot. So if the referee reacts, the answer is should not get involved. We do not get involved if the referee has reacted to the decision. So I want to start with those 11%. The people who think that the AR can and should get involved here, they should not get involved because, again, the referee has pointed to the penalty kick spot, which means the referee does not require assistance. So I use this clip, and frankly, it's unfair, but I use it to prove a point. And that point is to the 62% of you who says the AR can get involved here. I also stopped it so that I could be extra unfair. So I'm going to let it play the rest of the way out now so you can see why the AR actually is not able to get involved in this. And it's the last replay that's going to give it away. Oops. Player in black and red actually never even touched him. Jumps over with the left leg, drags the right leg with no touching. This is a clear dive. And in this scrimmage game for MLS, the referee actually goes to VAR for a clear and obvious error and issues this player a yellow card. Now, it's unfair because you're not going to be able to tell that from the video that I showed you, but at the same time, with the speed of this play and with the subtlety of this, the AR is not going to be able to see that from how far they are away. And the fact that they're going to be looking through this player's leg to this player's leg and not be able to actually see if there's motor point of contact here. So this is a good example of a clip where the AR is going to have a clear view of the incident, meaning at this moment in time, he can see that there are two players and one of them falls down, but is not able to see clearly why the player fell down. From that angle of view and with that depth perception, and with the quality of that dive, frankly, the AR is not able to see between the 2 inches there between those two players' legs to know that this is a dive. So that's why the AR is not going to be able to get involved here. So answer is nobody could get this right except the referee if they had taken up the right position. We'll get to that in a moment. But ARs, we can't let our brains fill in information that is missing. And that's human nature to do so. So we have to guard against this very, very carefully. But our brains are used to doing an exercise where they collect parts of information and they can fill in the gaps. As I don't know if anybody has ever seen one of those verbal or written exercises where each word in a paragraph has all the right letters, but they're out of order. For an entire paragraph, every single word has letters that are out of order, which means each word is misspelled. But the brain sees those letters in that pattern and is able to read it. So you can read that paragraph without even thinking about it because your brain takes big chunks of information and fills in the details. That's a fascinating part about the human brain. The dangerous part about it for us is we're going to see a player make a challenge. We're going to see a player fall down like they got hit, and our brain might fill in the rest of that detail with, that's a foul. When in reality, we're too far away and we don't have the right angle of view to be able to see that. And so we need to recognize that that's too tight of a decision and frankly, too important of a decision for us to get involved in. So the correct answer on this one is no, the AR is not able to get involved in any way, and they shouldn't get involved because they can't. Now, the last thing to try to get this right. When we see play go in this direction, referees, we want you to go to the right side of the penalty area. Like we saw in the last clip, this referee runs to the left side, anticipating the next phase of play, when in reality they have a decision to make here, which means at the moment of contact, they're looking through upwards of 3 or 4 players, no clear view there. Whereas if they come over to the right side and they're trailing inside the penalty area here, now they're going to have that angle of view that lets them see that that attacker just drags the right leg and that there's no contact. So referee at this moment moves to the right instead of the left, probably has an opportunity to be able to do that. Okay? Any questions on that clip? So question here, to see between players, yes. For a basic thing on foul selection or positioning, you need to be able to see between 2 players. If you're looking through one to see the other, that's a problem because you're not going to be able to see the decision-making components. You're going to be screened by the player in front of you, blocking your view. So we want to have a side angle as much as possible between players so we can see through them and see that contact. And so if I fast forward to the trailing view of this, ideally the referee has swung in back here. Before it even started, the referee's already a little bit too central, but as this give and go starts, we want the referee to be running this direction and ideally be over here, actually following the ball in. And I'll get to that, talk about that in a second here, because even going to the corner of the penalty arc isn't going to be enough. If they're over here at the moment that this happens, they're looking directly through the back of this player. So when a player is running into the penalty area and someone's running next to them, we actually want to be trailing in behind it here. So ideally, the referee would be way over here, and that's okay because everything about this play suggests that there might be a decision here. And the benefit of that is, again, referee's a little too far central here, but as soon as the play goes in, we would want to see him close that distance, that direction. So we want to see the referee already moving to this space. And then as it goes, sprinting to get to this angle. Now, the nice thing is, if this player just does a first touch across the face of goal and the referee's over here, they still have the angle of view this direction to see if any fouls happen here. And in fact, they have a better angle of view because they can, again, see between 2 players. So if this player in white here is holding this player in black, they're not going to be able to see that from over here because they're going to be looking through the player in white. But if they've taken a position over here, now they're looking through all the players and they can see potential fouls at that next phase of play while also being able to have the angle of view here. So as play enters the penalty area in this right side of the field, we actually want you over here. This is an ideal position for the kinds of plays on the right side of the penalty area. It also helps you with potential boundary decisions over here if you're already over there. Questions on that analysis on the positioning part? Question here, do we want to see both of their backs as we approach play? I'm not sure whose backs you're talking about, but if it's these 2 players, then absolutely yes, because that means we're seeing between them. They're running side by side, and we're able to see between them so that if a leg sticks out, we can see it trip. And when we look again in this direction from over here and we shift our eyes that way on the next phase of play, we see between the 2 of them. We're not over here looking through the back of this player. Any more questions on this clip? All right, then I'll move us along to the next one. I'll let you watch the whole thing one more time. All right. We've seen the replay enough times now. That's our moment of truth. So I'm going to launch the poll again, and let's see what you think. A few more seconds. All right. I'm going to share the results. So we had 9% say the AR cannot get involved. We had 22% say the AR can but should not get involved. And we had 69% say AR can and should get involved. So again, this one's going to seem a little controversial. But in this game, I think it's a clear foul. Everybody knows that, right? And as you can see here, the referee gets involved. No problem. I think everybody knows it's a foul. The reason we don't want the AR to get involved here, oddly enough, has to do with the angle of view of this decision. At the moment that foul happens, this AR can't see the mode of contact and the point of contact because they're screened from it. And they're screened by this player's leg. So an interesting thing happened on this game, actually. And I don't normally like to talk about what the referees did in a specific game, but in this one I'm going to, because it actually elaborates or helps to reinforce the point that we're going to make here. The referee decided to go, I think it was red on the day. The referee sent Wayne Rooney off here because the AR came in and said studs to the Achilles or studs to the calf or something along that nature. Studs. Use the word studs into something. But when the VAR goes and looks at it, because the AR has said we need to send this player off for studs to, a part of the leg, basically, VAR looks at it and sees that actually studs never made any contact. It was the top of the foot or the boot or something, just side of the foot into the knee. There were no studs involved. And because the considerations were incorrect, even though the decision was right, the outcome was right of a red card, VAR has to send it down because the reason for the red card was incorrect. Referee goes and looks at it, says, no, that's a red card, no problem. But the problem with the AR getting involved here is that they can't actually see this well. And if this is the difference between a yellow card and a red card, which is not much in this kind of a clip, we need the AR to be 100% sure, and they're simply not able to be because this attacker's body is blocking the view of where that foot actually makes contact. And that's a crucial part of whether or not this is going to be a yellow card or red card. The referee responds right away and blows the whistle. I know it's hard to tell and we don't have the sound, but the body language of the referee after this happens suggests that, yeah, he's going to call the foul here. The referee does, or excuse me, the AR doesn't wait, just goes up right away with the flag, which not a big deal. That's okay. It's in his immediate area. But the involvement we have to be concerned about here is our belief that we know what the misconduct should be. The AR actually is not in a position to be able to judge accurately this misconduct because he is screened from the mode and the point of contact. So be really, really careful. Be thinking about body orientation when you're an AR. And I mean body orientation of the players involved in the challenge. When you're a referee, we want you to always position yourself to see between the players. So right here would be perfect because you can see between them. If you where this AR is, or if you're back over here for some reason as the referee, you're looking through one player into the other. We need you to be looking through the players or between the players. This side angle, we want you to the side of these kinds of fouls. This side angle means you have a great angle of view to see it. When you're an assistant referee, you can't forget that guidance. You can't forget that we want you to have an angle of view looking to the side of a challenge, not through one player to the challenge, which is the angle of view that this AR had. And on the day, this AR offers incorrect information, which leads to the same outcome. But what if the assumption of studs to the thigh had been wrong, or studs to the calf or whatever it was wrong, and there actually wasn't that nature of contact and it was a simple trip? Now you've got an AR incorrectly telling a referee to send a player off. So do they have a clear view of the decision-making components? The answer to that is actually no. And we need the referee to make this decision, not the assistant referee. So a question here to clarify, the involvement of putting up the flag is okay, but the involvement of providing information on the mode and contact, which you can't see here, is something we don't want. Is that right? It really depends, and I'm sorry to clarify this, James, or to split hairs here. If you're using communication devices, the AR can say foul, foul, foul here, which just indicates to the referee to blow the whistle. But that's all it indicates. It doesn't suggest anything else. So if you're using communication devices, sure, you can say foul, 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 because it looks and smells like a foul, even though you really don't know for sure here. And the referee has to be the one to judge misconduct or not. If you're just got a flag here and nothing else, you need to let the referee make this decision. Now, this is an obvious enough foul that the referee is going to make the decision. So the referee is always going to blow that whistle. We don't need this AR's flag to go up. Couple of more questions here. Now we are back to the other multiple decision plays. Was the AR correct to signal the foul but then defer to the referee misconduct, or should the AR have remained quiet? In an ideal situation, the AR does not get involved in this play because they don't have the right angle of view. Now, this is a more complicated decision because of the referee's position. And that's really why I think the AR chooses to get involved here, because this is actually a very senior AR. And I think the senior AR recognizes that the referee is woefully out of position here. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But the referee is clearly out of position here. And the AR, I think, knows it. And so that's why the AR goes up with the flag and tries to provide the information because of how far the referee was from this play. So getting to that ideal referee situation here is you recognize no matter what, this is the attacking player, this is the defending player, everything about this, the play running up to this suggests that this player in red is going to get the ball. If this player in red is going to get the ball, which direction is play likely to go? To the left. So as soon as it becomes clear that there's going to be what we call a breakdown in play, which means one team has the ball and then the other team clearly has possession, that's what we call the breakdown of play. We want to see a referee adjust their position quickly and immediately. So the way the players are organized here, I think it's safe to say the white team probably had the ball. DC had the ball here. Clear possession. All the players are lumped up to the right, which would suggest DC had the ball, was attacking to the right. The ball's about to get turned over. And it's clear from this moment right now that this player in red is going to gain possession of the ball. We would consider that the breakdown. White had it. Red clearly now has possession. We would want the referee to move at pace up the field. Instead, in this case, the referee walks, still walking, just now starts to jog, which means on the big touch past Rooney, now the referee's 40 yards from play and is looking through a whole bunch of players. Whereas in an ideal situation, by the time this player has gotten to the ball, the referee's already up here. And if the referee starts a quick burst, even before this clip starts, if he's already running at pace, by the time they get to the ball, the referee is going to be over here somewhere. And if he's already there, then when this play continues, he's running even harder and he's over here, which means he's where my mouse is. And when this tackle happens, he's right there. And if he's right there, he's got the perfect angle of view to be able to see whether or not the studs made contact, alleviating the AR's need to feel like they have to get involved here. So lots of good things in this clip, positioning, but the big thing here, guys, is really thinking a lot about this angle of view. Do you see between the players? Can you clearly see a mode of contact and a point of contact? And if you can't, you have to recognize why, and you have to recognize that you can't get involved there. We had somebody ask a moment ago if the AR should have been sidestepping. Probably not, because remember, they have to maintain second to last position, which means running with this player running, probably going to have to be running. He's also anticipating a counterattack here. This is a pretty rash challenge from Wayne Rooney, so it's hard to imagine this was going to come. So he just thinks this player's off to the races. This guy's going to be running back. It's appropriate for him to be running at this point so that he has the correct position. So Raphael, you've made a comment here. There is no attacker farther down the field. The AR's only concern, as the video shows, is his face was in the direction of the challenge. I don't understand how that's a relevant comment. Yes, he is looking at the challenge, but the problem is from his angle of view, he can't see the challenge. So unless you're asking a question, I would kindly ask that you not add irrelevant commentary like that, because it just serves to confuse people. So there was a question here, why is it a red card, since it seems like it's just a trip from behind? It's harder to tell. We can break down that one a little bit since we have only a minute or so left. But he actually makes contact with the sides of his boot into the knee. So when you go back and look at it on VAR, it's hard to see from these, but right here, he actually makes contact with the knee. And that's per the guidance that MLS is giving right now. Any kind of challenge that's high with the boots into the knee, even if it's not the studs, they want players sent off for that. They just don't want challenges like that in the game. Which brings up an interesting point. You know, oftentimes we, as part of our own training and learning, watch clips from different leagues. So you can see right there, they don't like challenges that high into the knee. So because of that, they want the player sent off. So it's actually side of the boot, top of the boot, into the knee. But MLS this season, this was last year, had challenges like this as something they were really trying to get out of the league. Which brings it actually to an interesting point for us to close on, which is I get clips sent to me regularly by referees from the Premier League or from MLS or from the Italian League or the Spanish League or whatever it is. And they say, it seems like, you know, this is this, and we see this in MLS or we see this in your training, but they didn't do it here. Why is that? Or, oh, it's different or it's not consistent. It's important to realize when we're watching professional soccer, even the World Cup, that competition has given the referees specific guidance on what they want to see happen in that competition. So MLS works together with Pro on the kinds of challenges they're seeing and the kinds of things they don't want to see in the game. And then if you go to a World Cup event, FIFA has specific things they're looking for at the World Cup. And it might be different. And in fact, for international referees, one of the most challenging parts of their job is remembering where they're refereeing at any given point and knowing what the priorities are and what the focuses are for that competition. So for a FIFA referee, an American FIFA referee right now, they have how they're asked to referee in MLS, they have how they're asked to referee at CONCACAF events, and they have how they're asked to referee at FIFA World Cup events. And they're oftentimes different. And so for us, the key thing to remember is we can't just watch something on TV in the Premier League or in the Spanish League or at the World Cup and go, okay, that's how I'm going to do it here, because they've been given very specific guidance for specific situations at that level of competition. So anyway, I leave you with that. Are there any questions? All right, then thank you as always for joining, and I wish everybody a good evening and stay healthy and stay safe. Thanks, everybody. Good night.